Get a 5-minute business book review, pivotal moments with failed businesses, and hear an interview with a business disruptor who will share their $10,000 mistake. This is the Forward Motion Business Show with Professor Ken and Professor Paul A. Marino. Hit new heights. Start with Forward Motion.
Okay, so we're live. This is the Forward Motion Business Show. I'm Professor Ken.
And I'm Professor Paul Marino.
And we're in the studio here at United International College. It's been some time. We started our show here a little bit ago before the pandemic, of course, and here we are back. So I'm excited to be back.
It's good to be back.
Exactly, right? So thanks for listening. Today, we're actually going to cover a couple of great things. We're going to focus a little bit on how we can be more kind to our community. We're also going to talk about a business case, Quibi, which is an incredible failure, a $1.7 billion failure that happened during the pandemic. So we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about a business book, The Power of Positive Thinking, which I think can help us all today, right? So Paul, why don't you introduce our guests and give us an intro there, and let's get the conversation started.
Well, I want to introduce Kadie Black. I've known Kadie for many, many years, and I've always been very impressed about her dedication to philanthropy and her dedication to helping people. So she has a pretty large background in that area. She's doing some very exciting stuff currently. So without any further ado, Kadie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So born and raised here in Miami. I lived in New York for a little while, but before that, I was really working in child welfare. So worked in child welfare probably for the first part of my career and really felt kind of in love with the idea of helping others and being able to kind of give. And we know giving is the same as receiving. And so I've worked in my career and really been able to dedicate my life to cycle breaking. So that's what I say. I say I'm a cycle breaker, and I like taking on lots of work that helps to break cycles, including what I'm doing now, which is working at Kristi House. I'm their development director.
Kristi House is a very interesting organization. I've had the pleasure of visiting them. I've had the pleasure of doing some work with them.
Right.
They're dedicated, correct me if I'm wrong, Kadie, they're dedicated to helping women, young women who have been trafficked, correct?
So yeah, we have many things that Kristi House does, but so mainly we serve about 2,000 kids a year who have been sexually abused, and we provide therapy for those children, as well as we have 2 drop-in centers called Project Gold, which is helping sex trafficked victims, so commercially sex trafficked victims, but with wraparound services, therapy, educational services, help with business and really to help wrap around service around these girls.
Well, I had the opportunity of visiting them in Project Gold and doing some work with them in Project Gold. And it's an amazing facility. It's a drop-in facility for women who have been trafficked or abused. And in that setting, it's a very safe setting. They can do many different functions, from doing their laundry to getting help with their homework, to having a hot meal.
Yeah, it's specifically geared towards girls, unfortunately, from around 12 to 18. We also don't kick girls out, and so they become members for life, and so they can come back and get services and, like you said, do their laundry, have a shower. We have 4 hot meals a week to help them just feel like they have a home to go to.
Now, these young women, mostly because you dedicate yourself to young women, how do they find you? How do they know about Kristi House?
Yeah, so we take referrals from everywhere. So it can be school. I mean, some of the statistics say that 40% of all calls to the abuse hotline kind of stem from school, from teachers, or, somebody who's concerned about a child. We get referrals to the state attorney's office. So if a child is arrested, usually now is a law that they won't be charged as an adult for prostitution or charged for prostitution at all. Instead, they recognize that this is a victim. And so they really work to get services. So we get a lot of referrals through the police and the state attorney's office as well.
I heard about that law. It's kind of like a
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
So
Exactly.
the person cannot be held legally responsible because the law views them, correct me if I'm wrong, the law views them as a victim.
Yeah. So, because most of the, for the girls that we deal with,
Mhm.
there is usually a pimp, or in most cases something called a Romeo pimp, where they really kind of groom and work to gain a child's trust and then exploit that vulnerability. And so many times girls don't even recognize that they're being trafficked.
I read an incredible book that was given to me on the subject. It's called Stolen. And it is an amazing book, and it's told through the perspective of someone who has been trafficked, a young woman who was trafficked, and how she was brought into this whole terrible lifestyle through no fault of her own.
Right. And I think that's the thing. It's like through no fault of their own. And that's the same thing with children who have been victim of sexual abuse, you know, and we know that 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls will be sexually abused before their 18th birthday. And so the work of Kristi House is really, really important in helping to heal that trauma so that kids can have hope and they can, you know that that's not, this tragedy does not have to define them.
Yeah, it's not your fault.
Exactly.
It's not your fault. You're the victim in this.
Yeah.
You're absolutely the victim.
And so that's, you know, essentially it was very great. It was very good when that law was passed. And there were a lot of really passionate people who came together to work together, to collaborate on getting that law passed that treated kids as victims, because usually they're not doing it in their own volition, or most, you know, of the time.
Now, someone listening to this, how do they reach out to you? Okay. I think maybe I could use their services. Either someone who has been trafficked, someone who has been abused, or even someone who may be a teacher who may think that someone in their class has an issue. How do they reach out to you? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so Kristi House, Kristi house.org is it has all of the information. It has the abuse hotline. But you know, it's okay to tell. And usually we talk about making sure that there's an adult in a child's life that they know is their safe person and that they can go to. And so it really also, you know, if somebody does need help, of course they can come to Kristi House and we will connect them. But you know, it's in terms of long term, it's really important that everybody go to kristihouse.org because there are so many resources that are there that can help in prevention. And so it's having those really, really early conversations. And so I want to encourage, and, you know, people who are seeking support and are, you know, especially if they are finding themselves alienated and feeling like they are being commercially sex trafficked, then, you know, we will definitely, we have a line, and I'll make sure that I'm going to look it up on my phone so that we can get it on here.
Yeah,
and
we'll get it on. Definitely.
Yeah, because there's a specific number, but also I just, you know, feel like it's really important to talk about the prevention pieces of how do we prevent.
Right. The earlier they reach out to you, the better. Now, you go to extraordinary lengths to protect these people, to protect their anonymity, to protect their identity, to keep them safe. I know you have safe houses that they can actually go to. And this is all free, correct, Katie?
Yeah, so there are no charge for any of our services, inclusive of therapy for kids who have been sexually abused, or we also now do a lot of therapy just for trauma. So we're experts, right? We have received a lot of federal grants to train our therapists, and our therapists are incredible, right? They work with these families and these children. And that's what's so great about Kristi House is it is a place that they can come, kids can come, families can come, and we will wrap those services around them and make sure that they have what they need. I remember so I've been at Kristi House for a year, but I've always been a big supporter of Kristi House throughout my career, including when I was working in child welfare, because I think it's such an important part of our community. And so I feel really grateful that I get to work here. But it was like 2 or 3 weeks into working at Kristi House, we had a request for a bed. And I thought to myself, just the little thing, the bed, and so this family needed a bed. And so what did we do? We got to IKEA, I volunteered to take the bed down there. I built the bed, and it was so, I get so much joy from giving, so much joy from giving. So for me, those are the things that drive me. And when I saw first of all, where the family was living and that there was not a bed for the child, and just thinking like, this child will never be able to heal, or if they don't have those like Maslow hierarchy of needs met,
Right.
and so, and just the joy in these kids and being able to give.
We
And
have
so I
no
think
idea of what these people are going through.
Right.
I mean, someone can tell you, you could read a book like Stolen and you say, oh my God, look at what this young woman went through. But until you actually see it, you have no idea what they're going through.
Yeah. And I think that, it is, it's important to have gratitude around the things that we do have, and be able to give, and people can give in all different types of ways.
Yes.
Monetary is wonderful. It allows us to do our services, but we take canned goods, and we have a Halloween costume drive going on that just finished, where our kids could come and pick Halloween costumes. We have a Thanksgiving food drive. We have a Christmas food drive, because many times, like our girls who come to our drop-in centers, that's their only hot meal. We provide food to our families as well, because a child can't get therapy if they're not, if they have a hungry belly, right?
Well, when I went to the Safe House, I was so impressed. It's a beautiful home. It's set up in a family setting. I remember you had 2 chefs there.
Yeah, and that's all by design. We want the girls to feel like this is their home. This is where they can heal. This is where they are safe.
Right.
Everybody deserves to have a place where they can go to feel safe, right?
And then I went to the quiet room in the back, where the mentors interact with the young ladies. I didn't sit in on a session. Obviously, that's private. But I was so impressed with the entire process. And I can't tell you how grateful I am to be affiliated with Kristi House. I think it's a great
I'm
organization.
so grateful to be here. I know I've taken up all of your time.
This is what we're here for. In fact, I'm just wondering, as you're going through this whole process, there's so much more that we could all do as individuals, of course, and here in the South Florida business community, right? So, what is your direction? What is your advice? If, let's say, I'm a small business, okay, I know we've gone through all this stuff, but I really believe it's part of us. We have to contribute. We have to help where we can, volunteer and help. And you said there's a lot of ways that we can get involved, not just monetarily, but other ways of stuff. And before we started, you mentioned that you have these drives and you collect all these different things. So if I'm a local business, if I have a pizzeria here in South Florida and I want to contribute some way, what can I do? What can we do there?
So absolutely, I think that there's always opportunity. So if you're a pizzeria and you want to send pizzas, to our Safe House to serve one night a week, or even one night a month,
that's a great idea.
It helps, right? And
That's
so those are ways. We will send a box out. You can come, you can pick it up, or we'll bring it to you for school supplies, for food, for all of these things, because throughout the year, baby supplies, right, all of these things just help our families, and having them in one place. So I also want to mention, so Kristi House is co-located with the state attorney's office and with the police department and with the Guardian Ad Litem program, because it really is a place that the child is child-centered care for that child holistically. So helping them if they have to go to court and all this, and all this stuff can be really scary. So we have toys that, when they come, we, in arts and crafts, and people can volunteer. So we also have a robust volunteer program. So, I hate to use this cliche, it takes a village, but it takes so many people.
The problem is too big. The problem is too big for one entity.